This conference will now be recorded.
Welcome, everybody, to the September Team GOGI for Life Town Hall meeting. We have a very special guest tonight. Coach Taylor, the founder of GOGI, is here to talk to us and give us a little bit of information about our GOGI tool this week, talk a little bit about facilitating, and get us really excited about the PowerUp in the community. So, Coach Taylor, thank you for being here. We appreciate it very much. Yay!
And I'm so excited to be here. You know, I've been listening to these town halls as we edit them and get them into video segments that we can air inside the prisons. I listen to them. I'm just so proud of you and so proud of everyone that kind of calls in and participates, because you truly are pioneers in a new way of making significant changes within your community. It's easier than we think, and all it requires is the level of dedication that you have all put into this. So thank you very much, and it's really quite an honor that I get to actually be in it. Does this mean, Tamara, that when we're editing it to go into the prisons, I have to listen to my voice too?
Yes, but Coach, you have such a zen way of speaking. You know, I mean, it's just even when I read, if I read them something that you wrote, I find myself becoming so zen as I read it. So I'm sure everybody will love it.
Okay, well, we'll call this the Zen meeting then. Okay.
Okay. All right, so I'll let you go ahead and just speak on whatever it is that you would like to speak on. I don't know if you're able to see my screen or not, but I do have the tool chapter for this week up, and I will just let you take over. Okay.
Okay, and you know, I assume we now have totally opened our meeting, but does anyone in our meeting know the tools by heart? Or if you have a cheat sheet, can you say the tools and think of them as if you knew them by heart? Can you list our tools, anyone?
I can probably do a few. I don't think I can do all of them.
Okay, well, let's go for it.
Boss of my brain, belly breathing, 5-second light switch, positive thoughts, positive actions, positive words. What if, reality check. Yeah, can't think of any more.
Oh, pretty darn good. I'm impressed. So boss of my brain, belly breathing, and 5-second light switch are easy to remember because they are the tools of our body. They're kind of like our first three tools. They are the tools that we teach children, because until you have a mastery over your body, it's really difficult then to be master over your choices. So the tools of the body, boss of my brain, belly breathing, and 5-second light switch, allow us to gain control over our body. And even though we teach these to children up till about 8 or 9 years old, we often need them when we're 39 years old. We need to be reminded that we are, in fact, in charge of our bodies. So the tools of the bodies are very sweet and wonderful for us, and we keep referring back to them when we feel as if we are not in control of our mind or our body. The tools of choice then come in, and this is the next phase of the season of our life, or the season of our GOGI journey, and that's the tools of choice. After you're about 8 or 9 years old, you get to start making choices. This is my thought. This is my word. This is my action. So those tools of choices, positive thoughts, positive words, and positive actions, allow the individual through the season of their life that is often determined as kind of like ages 9 through 13-ish, to kind of feel, wow, I'm in charge of my body. Now I'm in charge of my choices. Then you're looking at tools of moving forward. By the time we get to 13, we've had heartbreak, maybe arm breaks, maybe all sorts of things happen to us. We've been taken advantage of. All these things, maybe we've even been bullied. We need to begin to learn how to move forward. So the natural progression in the tools is that we then learn how to move forward. We do that by claiming responsibility for our actions today and our reactions today. We let go, hand squash toss of anything that's going to get in our way. And for us to forgive, we need distance from harm. So by the time somebody is like 13 to like 18, maybe even into their 20s, they're learning to let go of a lot of that garbage, claim responsibility of their actions and reactions, and forgive. They are learning to be of service. This particular portion of the year, right now with this September, in this particular week, we've been working on the tools of creation. Once we've mastered our body, once we've mastered our choices, once we've mastered tools of moving forward, then we can really start creating in a way that's meaningful for us. What if I'm not my past? Wow, concept. If I'm not my past, who am I? Reality check. I'm just a freaking human being that makes mistakes. 10 steps forward, 2 steps back. At least I'm 8 steps ahead. And then we come to this week's tool. This week's tool is ultimate freedom. All of the others allow us to be just a little bit more powerful with that last tool. That last tool guarantees us freedom from just about any of the emotions, the anger, the frustration, all those human emotions that seem to hold us back. Because when we live in ultimate freedom, we become untouchable to those things that would normally cause us angst. Something happens at work. If we're living our life in freedom, it doesn't touch us. Something happens at home. If we're living our life in ultimate freedom and total service, every minute of the day, I am being a powerful force for good on this earth. Nothing touches us. So when we talk about ultimate freedom and living a life of service, it's important to know that this can be done any time of the day, all times of the day. It is a perspective rather than something you have to go and do. It's a belief that the world is a better place because you woke up on it this morning and your feet are going to walk the pavement. And if you feel as if the world is a better place because you are on it today, you have begun that journey to living your life in ultimate freedom. I wanted to make sure you knew kind of the fact that the tools are in weeks, but the tools are also in sections. And those sections relate to the cycles in our life and the seasons of our life that allow us to learn these tools over and over again. And most of the prisoners say, oh my gosh, these are so repetitive. They're just, we've done this. No, you haven't done it this way this week. You haven't looked deeper into the meaning, the spiritual concepts behind these tools. Otherwise, they never would be repetitive. They would just be like going out and breathing fresh air. That never gets old. It would be like having a wonderful meal. That never gets old. Or saying hi to an awesome friend. That never gets old. So when we befriend our tools, when we actually embrace them as part of our life, the repetition almost becomes something that we welcome because it's a reminder of our true calling as service providers. And that's what allows us to be free. So given that little concept about how the tools make up the seasons of our life, what are your thoughts or what's your perspective on the GOGI tools falling into cycles of our lives, not only weekly, but monthly and yearly, and actually seasons of our lives, groups of years? What are your thoughts on that?
I think the first three GOGI tools are really what you said, basically how we teach the children how to use them.
Yes.
I've taught my 4-year-old how to use them, and she's actually really good at the first three. And then the last three, because I'm trying to battle with something in my life that has come from my past. I'm trying to let go, forgive, and have ultimate freedom with those things. And I think those 6 right there have been huge in my life already. And then I've needed positive thoughts and positive words and actions to claim responsibility in what I've done in my past and brought it into my future, and now, well, into my present, and trying to get over it in my future. So that's my thought
And
on it.
isn't it credible too that it comes in layers? Like maybe 5 years ago, you wouldn't have the strength or the wherewithal or the clarity to be dealing with things in your past, but they present themselves when they're ready to be dealt with, and then you can utilize your GOGI tools to kind of just peel them off of who you are, unload the baggage, and these tools allow you to use them. So if there's great value in repeating them, because you never know when you're going to get that flat tire and you're going to need that lug wrench or whatever it may be.
Right. Exactly.
Well, I'm happy you're teaching your daughter. Really happy, because the angst that she can avoid and the pain that she can avoid in her life with these tools is just, you can't even measure the power of these tools as she goes through her life and begins to make decisions that she would otherwise regret. She'll say, wait a second, I'm the boss of my brain. She's not the boss of my brain, or he's not the boss of my brain. I'm the boss of my brain. Right. So congratulations, because you're truly being part of a solution in our community when you do teach the youngsters, especially those 3 tools.
Yeah, she's definitely going to need GOGI too as she grows older, and the possibility now that we just found out of her dad might not be coming home, and we thought he was coming home in 10 years. So when I break the news to her when she gets older, I think that the GOGI tools will definitely help her with that as well. So
Sure. And if your husband is engaged, and if her dad is engaged in GOGI, the one thing that you can begin to talk to her about is his ability to live in service. And by telling her, isn't it wonderful that your father is in there with men who need him, and they trust him, they rely on him, they're learning tools for him. You can be very proud of your father. And in that way, when you do it, exactly. So when you introduce this concept that maybe his job in being present for those men is not yet over, it's not going to be such a big negative blow. It's okay, I'll still go see my dad on visits, but I'm not going to be able to go on a camping trip with him quite yet. But I think if you begin to focus on his service that he's providing, and maybe what you might want him to do is to start keeping a little log or little letters from his peers. You know, I want to give this to my daughter on her 13th birthday. And it's just little notes from all the people her father has mentored. That will go a long way if given to her on her 13th birthday or whatever it is. That'll go a long way to say, that will allow her to feel my dad is a solution. My dad is, And you know what? I don't know any of those rules are going to stick. I think the rules today are not going to be the rules tomorrow. And I don't pay attention to them. We were at Pelican Bay yesterday, gosh. And a guy came up to me and he said, well, I might transfer over to another prison. I said, why? He said, well, because ultimately nobody goes home from here. I said, you don't know that. He said, well, nobody has yet. And I said, well, they will. And chances are there'll be a GOGI leader. He said, but I've got like almost 200 points. I said, don't talk to me about points. Talk to me about the number of men whose lives you've impacted. Those are the points I want to count. And those are the points that in the end of the day are going to matter. Living your life of service, totally being in ultimate freedom by doing that. I'm telling you, I've seen miracles. Nobody can say, oh, he's in El Wap, he's never going home. I don't believe that. I absolutely, categorically can say that is absolutely not true. So if you continue to buoy him up to be the kind of leader that he can be, your daughter will be buoyed up by the fact that her father is a solution. Then it's a matter of time before the details get worked out that he can be the solution on the other side.
Right.
Yeah.
And that
He can be her hero. You know,
Absolutely.
he's finding solutions to things, and he's helping guys that nobody else can help. He has a special field, a special place where he can help people that the rest of us don't have access to. You know, so that's
so right,
thing.
Tamara. Yeah, so right. All the counselors in the world can't reach most of the population. The officers, very few of them can actually touch the heart of a prisoner. Some of them do. The counselors, they try, they're overwhelmed. The people who impact prisoners the most are fellow prisoners. And when a man sits with another man and says, listen, you are the boss of your brain. You can have ultimate freedom. You can create positive thoughts, positive words, positive actions. That's the only voice that person can listen to. So we can't discount the value of him even considering that he might have a little bit more time than he thought. He's just got to rise up to the occasion and be the solution for every minute of every day that he is in there, and trust that if he does do that, permission will be given for him to do that on the outside. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
Right.
I like the fact too that she gets excited because she knows her dad is studying the same things that I teach her. So that's like
cool?
They have something in common. They have that in common, that they can work together on the GOGI tools, and she likes that. So
awesome.
Yeah, just wait till she gets on the phone and says, hey, Dad, do you know what the statement of ownership for Boss of My Brain is? And then she can start testing him.
Oh, my God, I know. You can't even. That's funny.
Really cool. Well, congratulations for introducing it as kind of part of your family and part of the fabric of who you are as humans. That's really, really awesome.
Well, no, I have to thank you for creating it, so I can work in my family.
You know, honestly, people say I created. I love hearing that because that's kind of a stroke to a small ego. But I got to tell you, it was the prisoners. Every single tool was given to me. I'm a good secretary. In truth, if you want to know the truth, I take very good notes. And I sat with these prisoners from 2002. And I took very good notes. And then I asked them, are these notes correct? And some of the prisoners would say, well, actually, we meant to say, or, well, actually, we think they said. So I think more than creating anything, I am the kind of like what are those little puppets you put on your knee? And
the ventriloquist.
Yes.
Puppets.
I'm the little puppet. I'm the puppet, and all our prisoner leaders are actually the voice. I am just sharing what I've been taught and what has been given to me so generously. And I just so happen to be on the outside, so it's easy for me. It's easy for me to share it. But the tools, every single one of them, I see the faces of every single prisoner who first said, what you're telling me is I'm the boss of my brain, or Coach Taylor, we just got to do belly breathing, or I need my 5-second light switch. I mean, every single thing was just said in jest. It was said as kind of a little joke. Even GOGI was said as a joke. But in every case, I wrote it down, and it became very, very foundational to who we are as a culture.
Well, and I love the progression. I mean, the tools, as you spoke about, the tools fit perfectly together. You know, it's a progression from one thing to another, and yet there are times when certain tools flow into a tool ahead of it, or maybe it highlights the tool before it, or, you know, but everything flows forwards and backwards to each other. And with Boss of My Brain being the constant through all of them. So it's amazing to me that, you know, they came up with all these tools, but in coming up with them, they fit perfectly. They are so cohesive with each other, and it makes sense. It makes sense.
There was no planning on that. There was no planning. Nobody planned this tool than this tool. In fact, the tools were actually presented in a different manner until 2011. And in 2011, I was at a workshop at CTF, And this a veteran came up to me and he said, you know, with all due respect, Coach Taylor, I love the tools, but there is no way that we started with let go at that time. There is no way I'm going to tell my veterans to let go of anything until they know that they are the boss of their brain. And when he said that, it was just like a knife in my heart. I just thought, oh, my Lord, we're ready to publish our GOGI book. I can't. And so that night at the hotel, I told my team, I said, we got to call the press, stop the presses. We can't publish the book. And they just looked at me, what? And no, we can't. We got the tools wrong. And they said, what do you mean?
Let go
got
was
the tools
first?
wrong?
Oh,
Let go
wow.
was the very first tool. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh,
yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, in fact, if you look at the very first book,
That makes sense,
prison
though.
getting out by going in. Yeah, let go was the one thing that, and we started with that go because that was the one thing the guys couldn't do. And then we got to the county jail and it was the one thing the women couldn't do. They just, I can't let go of this. I did this or they did that or whatever. So we started with that, but this veteran said, no, my man, I'm going to teach him boss of my brain first. And I thought, you are so right. So right.
Wow.
You know what I think? I think boss of my brain, like you were saying, the tools are kind of like, they're like a cycle, just like our life.
Yeah.
Our lives ebb and flow. Our earth turns on a certain cycle. The moon has cycles. And you know what? And I firmly believe that everything in our life is a cycle. So it's meant to be like this. But for me, I look at boss of my brain as the water. Our bodies are mostly 70% water, and water flows through every single thing in life. So that is kind of like keeping it together, you know, it kind of like keeps everything where it's supposed to be. Our earth, if we didn't have the water, it wouldn't be, I think it wouldn't be our earth. It wouldn't
correct.
together. And I think being the boss of your brain keeps everything else in its place. You know?
Wow, Monica, getting all philosophical. That's awesome. I agree with that. Is so cool. It's true. Awesome.
So
yeah, because boss of my brain flows through all of the tools.
Right.
Right? Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
You have to be when you're thinking of all these other things. All these other things still have to do with you knowing that you have control over what you're thinking and what you know, and from there, your brain is your computer, you know, for our body.
Right.
Without water, when we're dehydrated, we would die. You can live without food. You cannot live without water.
Right. It nourishes. Well, I remember at the meeting Monday, we were talking about how, because I made the comment and a couple other people, Monica too, I remember saying, I don't remember going over ultimate freedom. For whatever reason, we're reading this and it seems like I'm reading it for the first time. And then it was brought up that probably when we studied this last time, wherever I was and wherever Monica was in the state of being, there were other tools that were probably more impactful for us at that time. So no matter how many times we go over the tools, depending on where we are in our life and what's going on, certain tools are going to be more impactful than other tools. And for me right now, ultimate freedom is extremely impactful, but it probably wasn't that impactful the last time because I might have still been letting go. I might have still been asking what if. So I hadn't gotten to this point where I am now. And I love that because, like you said, that means the tools are never going to get boring. They're never going to be repetitious. They will become part of who we are. So, you know, I love that about the tools. I could study them all the time and learn something different based on where I am in my life. And I love that about it.
When the men are meeting, and this is something maybe we can discuss or have reflections or questions on, when they begin to meet, they're meeting 3, possibly 4 cycles, 15-week cycles every year. And they're, as leadership, primarily, they're meeting and then they're going out and mentoring others. Well, after, you know, we have students from 2002, and they're holding these meetings as they should. And now they've come to the belief that a cycle of meetings can be focused on one project. Like for the next 15 weeks, we are going to use our, what we call the Spider Table books or the GOGI Group Certificate Program books or the leadership books to document our meetings. So that's our in-cell study. But this entire segment, these 15 weeks, we are going to focus on intimate relationships with loved ones. And so they go through the cycle, box my brain, how does that apply to a loved one? Belly breathing, how does that apply to someone living under your roof that just rubs you the wrong way at times? And so their entire focus is on intimate relationships. And then the next cycle, maybe they'll do, how do we help our brothers and sisters who have meth addictions? And so that entire 15-week cycle would be all about that, or gang affiliation, or criminal thinking, or alcoholism. That their focus is, how can we utilize these tools to be of service to this specific population? What do you think as a group or as individuals about this concept that maybe the GOGI PowerUp meetings can have a focus for a cycle? So now we are going to focus, the topic is going to be addictions. The topic is going to be employment and really being present with your employment in a way that people say, I love working next to you, or I love working with you. Why are you always so happy? What do you think about having, in addition to the tool of the week or the tool of the month or the tool of that season, what do you think about the possibility of, much like the calendar has a Valentine's Day and everybody says, oh, that's for sweethearts or whatever, what do you think about identifying segments within the yearly calendar that allow us to focus energy, millions of people putting energy towards something for a significant chunk of time?
I think that it definitely would, like what that gentleman said to you, they think that it could get boring. That would allow it to never be boring because you're focusing on a different aspect of life. So I like that idea.
I do too. I think that's a good idea.
I like it too because it reminds me of the 12-week certificate course, because the 12-week certificate course allows you to pick probably, I don't know, like 8 different things, and you can say which one applies to me, and you can study that one program based on whichever one of those items you need, addiction, anger management, whatever, parenting, whatever it is, you do that. You look at the tools with regard to that subject. So I love it. I think that's awesome. And I think it will help us become more of service to a wider range of people as we tackle each one of those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right. So you might have a full cycle on nothing but parenting, all aspects of it. And even if you're never a parent, when you see a little kid running around in the grocery store and he's doing something he shouldn't, it might be very easy to say, hey, little dude, come over here. Be the boss of your brain. Don't touch that. Where's your mom? You know, to be able to even layer those little aspects of language to kids you may never see again. Would be the focus of a parenting cycle. So I would love to get you guys to at some point discuss it, find out what are the main concerns. Is parenting the first cycle of the year? And is relationships or addiction the next? Or what might it look like to have a full cycle of study and maybe united across all of our tens of thousands of prisoner students right now and ultimately in community? What if we really not only united by the day of the week, the tool, the month, the tool, the season, the tools of our seasonal tools, our groups of tools, our sections, but also to have a real meaningful purpose for our service, which is first quarter of the year, we do this. Second quarter, we do this. Third, we do this. Fourth, we do this. This is who we are as a people.
I love that. I love that. And I think if we can pick what it is that's as far as us being in the community, obviously, what's going on in the community at this time. And different parts of the year, we do notice, like, let's say during the holiday season, depression is huge. Or people who lose family members during that time, we have grief. So I think different times. And then the beginning of the year, everybody's broke, right? Because of the holidays. Maybe you got one on finances. I mean, whatever time of the year it is, and maybe during the summer it'll be family because the kids are out of school, or who knows, maybe that will be frustration and anger, but I mean, we could kind of just, I think that's great. I think it's an awesome idea. Awesome idea. And that's going to be something applicable to the community. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that'll bring GOGI more in the community as more realistic than people thinking GOGI is just prison. Do you know what I mean? Because now you're talking about things that, really impact us out here.
Right.
Where more so than just in there.
Exactly.
So then I would challenge you to have those conversations, look at the seasons of our life, look at the seasons that we all engage in, the things, back to school, the Labor Day weekend, all of those things that collectively as a Western culture, and of course it may be different when we eventually make our way into the Eastern Bloc or to Russia or even to New Zealand, it may look different. But for us as a people, for the Western culture, what would that look like? As you look at the cycle of a year span, pretty much all of us go through certain seasonal and experiential things the same way. So just give consideration to that and maybe do some further discussions. Maybe toss it out to the leadership that are still behind the wall and say, hey, if we have specific service projects or service focus for us as a culture, what would those focuses be for, like, say, the month of January, which is the Boss of My Brain month, the month of February, which is Belly Breathing month? What can we all focus on for that month where Boss of My Brain can be that focus, that whole, everything that we do is related to that season? Just think about it. I'm not sure how it fits. Mathematically, it seems that it's just going to fit beautifully because everything else truly has with GOGI. So I'm just not sure. I just think that when the first men, and these were men at a yard at Pleasant Valley State Prison, has such an incredible support for what they're doing, a wonderful self-help sponsor, a wonderful CRM that supports them, and men that have just created this entire community. They are the ones that said, we want to be of greater service. It isn't about us learning the tools anymore. We know the tools. We know them backwards and forwards. We want to be of service. What can we do? And that's when they came up with the idea of having a 15-week cycle be to hone their experience or their expertise even further.
Mm-hmm. I love the 15-week thing. I love the idea of taking all 12 of the tools and applying it to whatever situation is going on at that time in the community. I like that. I think that's a really good idea, and it pushes us to expand ourselves and think about things that maybe we wouldn't normally, like for somebody who doesn't have kids, or there's always going to be a situation that maybe I'm not familiar with because I haven't gone through that, but I want to know that because as I meet people in facilitating whatever it is, you're going to run across it, and you need to be able to have empathy, and you need to be able to understand what it is that they're talking about and going through, in some way. So I love that. I love that. Okay, great. My brain is already juicing right now on 50 million different things. I know.
Oh, no.
I know. Just wait, you guys. No, but I think, we'll have definitely more discussion. And we got so many women from different walks of life and different experiences. I know we're going to be able to come up with some great stuff.
And then I think if you can, in some way, share this with the world so that your meetings, at the end of the meeting, you get to share something, whether it's a summary blog or a tweet that goes out into the world, that you never leave without a gift being given. So whether it's at the end of the meeting, what's our last thought we're putting out into the universe? And you Facebook it, you Twitter it, you do whatever, and you get that message out so that every time you meet, the world is a better place, not only for you because you met, not only for your community because you met, but you're just sticking that vibration out there saying, somebody catch it. Because I promise you, somebody will. So if at the end of every meeting, you just have a collective last thought, what is our thought? What's our message to go out into the ether? What are we going to put out there on the little radio signal? And you just get in the habit of, at the end of the day, when you close, there's a gift to be given. I think that also reinforces the concept of every day of your life, there's something you're giving back with everything that you do. No one will ever take your freedom from you. It will be yours, secured forever, when that is the perspective on life.
I think that's awesome. And, you know, a lot of our members are actually taking stuff like the tools and they're throwing it up on their personal page. Little thoughts, you know, maybe a thought here, maybe a thought there, putting it out on Instagram.
Awesome.
I created a Twitter account for us also. I'm not a Twitter person, but I need to get with the times, my daughters tell me. So, you know, I think if we do that here and there, you know, and phrase things in a way to where our non-GOGI friends don't say, what the heck has she gotten herself into now, right? You know, and because that's what some of my friends said, because I was all gusto about it in the beginning. But if we season things with salt and make it more applicable to them, catchphrases or this or that, so that they actually read a little bit more, I've noticed that seems to help, and I'm getting a lot more likes than ignores on things now. So I think, and we slowly need to get the community comfortable with the word GOGI, which is why we're going to all put, you know, window stickers on our cars as we drive around.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
So yeah, that's a great idea.
Our GOGI necklaces.
And our bracelets that I just got today from the Ironwood GOGI men, exactly.
Wow, so, beautiful.
And I'm going to a funeral this weekend, and I'm loading up on my GOGI pockets. I'm telling you right now. I'm not going to be obnoxious about it, but hey, are you grieving? Let me show you how let me show you how you can deal with that a little bit better.
Beautiful.
No, great ideas. Coach, can you talk to us a little bit about facilitating and the requirements and usually how the process goes inside?
Sure.
I know one of the things that's a little bit different for us than for the guys is usually by the time the guys inside actually get into a GOGI group, they've already taken the incel study. So they're pretty familiar with
but that wasn't always the case. The incel studies just started in 2015. Prior to 2015, prior to 2015, we had no funding, and this was our major donors were prisoners sending us stamps and doing fundraisers, and from 2002 to 2015, we relied entirely. We survived because of the prisoners who nationally began to have food sales and drives. In 2015, I was encouraged by a group of inmates at Solano, and they said, well, there's these grants coming up. And I said, that'll never happen, guys. And they said, well, Coach, you don't know. I said, I do know that, when you apply for grants, they want statistics. We don't have any. We have just a bunch of prisoners creating this curricula. We aren't official. We don't have anybody with any big celebrity names. I don't know if it'll ever happen. Well, Coach, don't rule it out. Just apply. Just go on this website and take a look at it. So it was nearing the deadline. I think the deadline was in October, and their voices kept ringing in my head. And I kept saying, well, I know better. I just know better. But their voices, just try, just try. I thought, well, maybe I don't know better, but I just don't have time to do this. Well, the deadline came, and we were about a week away from the grants to apply for them. And then all of a sudden, everything around my life just stopped except my computer. I thought, oh, okay. All right, I'll write this grant, but I'm going to prove to the Solano men that I'm right. They don't want us. And I just wrote this grant.
Wow.
I was hell-bent. Honestly, I'm just telling you, you know, we have reality checks.
That sounds so unlike you.
Yes.
I know, but I'm telling you, I'm keeping it.
Those are some positive words.
I know, I'm telling you. I had to have my reality check because I got in front of that computer and I was, oh no, we'll never get it. But I'm going to write one heck of a grant. And I wrote it. I said, we're going to go into Pelican Shoe. We're going to give all these guys in-cell GOGI. I had no idea what that was. And then we're going to go to CCI Shoe, and we're going to do in-cell GOGI. We're going to take these guys. We're going to give them GOGI in-cell. And I put off the grants. Totally, honestly, in all my humanness, I just couldn't go back and face the Solano guys without saying I tried. Because I always listened to them, and I had to go back saying that I had given it my best. I tried, but I knew we would get rejected. Well, the grants came back, and we got them. And I thought, oh, my Lord, what is in-cell GOGI? I had no idea.
And fake it till you make it, right?
Honestly, I had no idea, and I had about 3 months to pull this together. So
wow.
All of the men were dealing with GOGI groups. And why do I say this? I say this because from 2002 to 2015, no one knew what the heck they were doing. They were facilitating GOGI. They didn't end with the pledge. They didn't have statement of ownership. They didn't have a calendar. They would just kind of form in what they thought might be a circle. Sometimes it were rows. And just the person with the most heart said, well, we got a GOGI book here. Can we start reading from it? What are we supposed to do? And why that is so important to our history is because for the life of GOGI, which is 300 years out from now, anyone with any heart will be able to facilitate GOGI. I would prefer that you don't know anything and you facilitate GOGI, because then your heart is open, you're wide-eyed, you're looking at possibilities. The best people to facilitate GOGI are those that say, hey, I don't know what I'm doing, but we have some GOGI material. We've got this great calendar. We've got tens of thousands of people who really know that this is working for them. Let's hop in the pool and swim with them. So as we look at the calendar, what is the tool of the week? When we do that, when we are brave enough to say, nobody else is standing up, I'll stand up and I'll do it. I have no idea what I'm doing and I'm only human. I'm probably going to make 10 million errors. That is when miracles happen. Just like the guys at Solano that said, Coach, well, you don't know. You don't know till you try. Or the guy that says, you mean by I can get out by going in? Unless we are willing to be brave enough to say words that are unfamiliar or to actually be present in a way that we haven't been present before, then we just get the same old, same old. So to facilitate GOGI, you just got to have a heart for it. And you got to be a good listener. You got to have access to some of the materials, but you don't even need all of the materials because GOGI was founded on no materials. So if you got materials, you're way ahead of the game.
Well,
awesome.
Tamara's been starting to put in more of the science behind the tools, and personally, I really like that. A lot of
people do. A lot of people really like the science. And when Tamara came to me and said, we like the science behind it, well, that probably means it's about time I kind of re-scramble some of the lots of the theoretical orientations and the neurological science behind the change and all the different modalities that have gone into what GOGI is and why it works so powerfully. I just didn't want to come out with science too prematurely because it would be then categorized as a theoretical orientation or a scientific whatever. I really wanted it to be a culture, but I really know now it is a culture backed by science.
Right.
So I don't think that the science aspect of it is premature in readdressing that.
But the world
is. Because
the world is
it makes it legitimate, right, for the community. It legitimizes the tools because everybody in the community, they're going to be like, okay, well, so what is this? Boss of my brain, belly breathing, come on. Oh, well, let me show you why it works, So I think we're ready for that. And I sent you a huge email with a bunch of stuff that I copied and pasted.
Awesome. Awesome. I love it. Keep them coming.
Yeah, because, the pink book was full of it, and you told me the blue book was full of it, and it's just, I find that part just fascinating,
Well, the interesting thing, I shied away from utilizing the science because it was so consistent with the attempt of mental health to control behavior of inmates. That when the first prisoner said, well, is this a mental health thing? I thought, oh, no, we're done with that. Because I did not want them to associate GOGI with illness that needed mental health. There's nothing wrong with us, nothing. But now that we have a culture, now that we have a calendar, now that we have our statements of ownership and our keywords and we know who we are as a culture, the science behind it is perfect to introduce only at this point, because prior to, I did not want it to fall into the category of mental health.
Yeah, that makes sense. That totally makes sense. Yeah, because we don't really need to be fixed. We just need to be set free. And we have the ability to set ourselves free. So, I think the science will play very well within the community as we go out and try to speak to them about it. And then as we try to maybe peel away layers of the prison aspect while never ever being ashamed or not wanting to speak about that, because that is the origin and we're proud of our men.
Right.
We want to take that, but still peel away enough of it to where the community is going to feel like, okay, this applies to me. This can apply to me.
Right.
And this is why it applies to me. Wow, this is really how it's going to work with my brain and the wedge and neurons and, all of this stuff that I still don't fully understand. But I think if we can take that science and put it in layman's terms like you did in the pink book, I mean, even a blonde like me can understand that stuff. I am like, wow, cool. I want a wedge, So, I think it's perfect. I think we have perfect timing to include that stuff in the PowerUp booklet.
Awesome.
So,
okay, well, I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So, who wants to facilitate on Monday? Crickets. I'm just messing with you guys. I like to throw that out there every once in a while, and all of a sudden it's crickets. But and it's so funny.
So
these women know more than what they think they know.
Okay.
Sure.
Monica knew the pledge way before I knew the pledge. I still struggle with the pledge sometimes.
That's because I'm connected. That's why I'm connected on the inside. So.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. You are connected on the inside. But yeah, we'll keep pushing forward to that. And my next venture, which I'm getting pushed back on, and I just love that because I'm going to keep trying harder, is for us to all get together and learn the GOGI community anthem. And all of us singing it together at one of our public PowerUps, and maybe put it on video so our men can see us, and be like, yeah, that's my woman right there, holding it down.
I love it.
Style.
Beautiful.
I don't think so.
You know what, Rebecca? You're going to be the first one that's going to do it. I can see you doing that Boston Mayhem. You're going to be like rocking it Boston style,
I was just going to say, this is Boston Mayhem.
Oh, you can hone that kind of like funnel that Marky Mark or the whole
Yeah,
thing there. So, all right. So, any closing thoughts, Coach? Before we like 8 minutes left before we hit the 9 o'clock hour.
Well, I'd love everyone to get the vision of what this is going to look like in even 5 years, in 20 years, in 50 years. And as you become, ancient and old and feeble and in wheelchairs, and you're ready to leave this earth, I really want you to be able to see that I was a pioneer. I was a pioneer. I was on those first meetings. And, you just imagine you're in a hospital, your loved ones are near you, you're an ancient old person, you're ready to make your transition, and the nurses outside say, yeah, do you know they were part of the GOGI, the very first GOGIs? He was one of those, or he was one of those. I swear, that's what will happen.
That's
so
awesome.
the legacy of what you are creating in bringing it to community and allowing your families to get to know you in this light isn't temporary. It is a long-term service. It is a ripple in the ocean that will actually make a big, big wave. And I'm just very grateful that you're each brave enough and you set aside the time. There's lots of other things that could be taking up your time right now, but you're putting in the time and the investment in allowing this culture to grow and really become significant in its power. I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, we started on that thing called Facebook. That's nice.
Yeah. And it's amazing how much we can actually do. It's so interesting because every time Facebook does an update, I feel like that is a perfect update for the group. The unit section, I can put everything in the unit section separated by tool and it doesn't get lost. And there's just we seem to be finding different ways of using technology in our favor. And we do great here, but once that PowerUp booklet is done and ready to go, I can't wait to get into the community with it. And Coach, you probably don't know this, but we're already planning, we're going to have our first in-person PowerUp group meeting in LA at Griffith Park in October. And
I love that. That's so awesome.
I'm pulling our guys out here, our GOGI leaders out here, and coaches out here, and whether they like it or not, they're coming. And I'm pulling them out so that we can do that. Then I'm going to do one in the Delano area in November because that's a large group. And then we'll do one in San Diego, and hopefully we can do that maybe once a month in the different areas so people become comfortable with that process.
Great.
Y'all better come out here to Boston. And
we'll go out there to Massachusetts, out to the Cape. We'll do it out in the Cape. Definitely. So, yeah, we're not going to leave you out. Are you kidding? You missed one meeting and we're freaking out over here. Where's Rebecca? All right, guys, why don't we go ahead and finish this out with Coach leading us in our GOGI pledge, and then we can all do our 1, 2, 3 GOGI for life and how we end it. Coach,
can I say one thing?
Yes.
I would just like to say how grateful I am that I think it was through Facebook that I saw a little blurb about GOGI, and it was something from Tamara, and I was so excited about it because when we shouldn't have been sent, but when Scott moved from Corcoran, then he went to Centinela, and then thank God we left there within a month, and we went to Donovan. There was no GOGI, so it was terrible because here he wasn't with the people he was with before, and he's in a new environment, and he's and he's like, I have to find GOGI because there were some guys he knew there and they knew it, but it was like we really wanted to get it, he didn't know what to do for us to get it going. So that's why I called you, Coach, the one time, and I got him new books and stuff. But when she put that on there, I was like, oh my God, someone else about GOGI. I was so excited.
Beautiful.
And I wanted to so embrace that because I know what a difference it made in my personal life, because what a difference that it made in his life. How, he had 40 years of addiction that he now controls, that he's now
Beautiful.
coming up on 3 years of him being clean. I mean, how awesome that he says every day how much he loves being clean and sober, and it's brought so much to him, and he loves mentoring, and it's incredible. So I'm grateful for her, and that she roped me into this.
and Monica's been my biggest supporter and like my right hand. If we were in Star Trek era, she would be my number one, my Riker. So it's been great. And I tell these women all the time, they inspire me. And there's a lot of these women that know more about GOGI than I do because they had husbands that have been doing it. And there's not one person that you say GOGI to who has taken GOGI that doesn't say, oh my God, it's wonderful. Honestly, everybody says that. So yeah, it is very beautiful. We're very grateful.
So I'm grateful for you too. So, all right.
Thank you.
Yeah, Chandler is hard to say no to.
Yeah.
On the GOGI pit bull. Yeah. How are you going to deny somebody when they're so passionate about something? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
All right. Okay. So, Coach, could you lead us in the GOGI pledge?
Tamara, you said.
What did I do?
Tamara, you said. You said pitbull, right? I have a 2-year-old that lives next door to me that calls me Becca the pitbull.
Well, see, and we're a lot alike. I got that whole East Coast flavor thing going on.
Put on the West Side.
Okay. All right.
So let's close with our pledge of service. Our pledge of service was created by the women in the Los Angeles County Jail when Mimi came rushing to me down the stairs of her little jail cell with her toothless grin and said, "Coach Taylor, this is going to be big." And I said, "I know." She goes, "No, GOGI, it's going to be like really big." I know. She goes, "It's going to be so big. We need a pledge." And I said, "Mimi, it's Friday night and I'm really tired. Can we work on the pledge on Monday?" And she said, "Yes, Coach, we will have the pledge on Monday." Monday morning, I walked in and all the girls stood up and the door slammed behind me and I heard, "Attention!" And the tower looked like they're going to kill the crazy white lady. And so all the women stood up, and I'm wondering, what are they doing? Is this like the talent show I asked for? And they said, "May our commitment to the study of GOGI grant us the joy." I just started bawling. And Mimi said, "Coach, we worked on the pledge. We don't want to make you cry." I said, "No, that's the most beautiful thing because I'm going to hear that pledge millions of times, millions of voices, and you women created it." So every time I hear the pledge, I think of Mimi and her 23 sisters in that jail cell, knowing that GOGI was going to be bigger than their tiny little module. And so this gift to GOGI, which was our pledge of service, every time I hear it, I think of those women and their gift to GOGI. So if you will repeat after me, please repeat after me. May our commitment
to
the study of GOGI grant us the joy of giving and receiving so that our inner freedom may be of maximum service to those we love and infinite others.
Amen.
All right, so let's 1, 2, 3, GOGI for life. Ready? 1. Get your fists ready. I want fists in the air. 1, 2, 3. GOGI for life.
GOGI for life.
GOGI for life.
Woo!
Thank you, Coach Taylor. You're the best.
Woo-hoo. Thank you so much,
Thank
Coach.
you,
I
ladies.
really appreciate it.
I
We'll
love
make you
being
proud.
with you. Oh, you already have. You. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. You
Good
guys have a
night.
great night. Good night.
She's gone. GOGI has left the building. Leaving the meeting.